Welcome back. The wildfire season is upon us, bringing with it heightened risks to our communities, farms and natural environment. As dry conditions worsen and winds pick up, the threat of runaway fires grows more serious by the day. Authorities are on high alert and communities are urged to stay vigilant. We're now joined by a well-known emergency responder, Marshall Sean Naude, to shed light on the situation and what more needs to be done. Sean, good evening and thank you so much for joining us here on the Daily Roundup. Sean, good evening. Can you hear us clearly?
Hi, yes, I can hear you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and let's get straight into it. I want to talk about, your assessment of the current wildfires, the situation across Namibia. What do you make of it?
All right, as we know, winter season, this time of the year, we've had lots of dry grass, lots of rain in the beginning of the year, so we have long grass. And due to the long grass, we have had a lot of wind that is blowing, and that is what starts the fires. We have a lot of the fires that start are due to human error, and we have already had some serious fires in Namibia at the moment. We had between Uis and Omaruru in the Oirongo region. We've had some fires, and then the biggest one we've had so far for the season was the one in the Konini region near Korigas, which took 4 days due to the fact of lack of manpower.
From your experience on the ground, Sean, what are the main causes of these recent fires?
Okay, most of it is due to human error. The first fire that started in between Omaruru and Uis, this was caused by a vehicle that stopped on dry grass. The exhaust pipe was hot, and due to that, the grass caught fire. And this spreads very fast. The minute you have a little bit of wind, it spreads extremely fast.
Sean, do you believe that...
We also have people that use things like...
Yes, please continue.
Sorry, just a quick delay there, but we also have things like people using grinders and welding and things like that, which also spark off fires near grass. This is a problem. And then also people that throw cigarette stumps out, their cigarette butts out of vehicles. This causes grass fires also.
How prepared and equipped are our emergency response teams when it comes to fighting wildfires, Sean?
I would say the local municipalities are trained for it. I have Windhoek municipality. I've worked many years with them, and they are very professional when it comes to grass fires. But when it comes to the more desolate areas, the more rural areas, there is not much help with, like the fires that we had in Korigas recently. We had community members using fire beaters, which is basically a tire at the end of a stick. And this is a problem because they do not have proper firefighting equipment. They also do not have professional firefighters that can assist them. And this is why the fires spread very fast. Over 3,000 hectares recorded that burnt, and that was a very, very big problem because there was not the equipment and the manpower. Although we also do usually get the Namibian Defence Force that does come and join when there are big brush fires.
What role is it, Sean, that communities and farmers can play in preventing or, quickly responding to these wildfires?
I think the most important thing is coordination and communication, and also preparation. Preparation is like 80% of the combating fires, making sure that you are doing fire lines, clearing from your infrastructures, and clearing away from your your structures that are around, like your boundary walls, at least 10 to 15 meters away from your boundary walls. And this goes for residential areas also where there are riverbeds or open fields. Make sure you clear away from it, that there is no grass up against your boundary walls. And if you have thatch roof houses or these material carports, keep them moist, keep them damp. This makes a big difference, and it can also slow down the spread of brush fires.
From the incidents that you mentioned to us earlier, the veld fires that have taken place across the country, have there been any recording of injuries or fatalities or even, significant damage to property or livestock?
All right. At the moment, as I said, we are at the beginning of the fire season. So it starts getting worse towards next month, and then just before the big August winds. This is when we also have people like farmers that do controlled fires so that the new the new grass can come up. But sometimes this gets out of hand and then it gets out of control. So we have had one person from the Korigas fires that got smoke inhalation. I actually spoke to her today. They did not have any emergency services there for them, so I had to pay a taxi for her to get to the hospital or to the clinics so that she could get medical treatment. And then it's basically just a bit of heat burns and heat on the face, but we've had no human fatalities, thankfully. And the livestock, we've had no reports either. But obviously, your wildlife is the one that gets most affected when there comes to brush fires, where we can't keep even record of the amount of wildlife that gets affected and lost every year with the big grass fires.
Well, just lastly, Sean, what urgent actions or policy changes would you recommend to the government, to better manage veld fire risks in the future?
I think the most important is to equip the communities, especially the rural areas, to equip them properly with at least firefighters in the nearest towns, like your main towns, water tanks, and also to do basic training exercises to teach the community how to work together. But not only that, is to avoid making fires. And we live in villages in this country where people are using open fires to cook and for heat. Yeah. And this is one of the biggest causes of fires spreading. And we ask people to, when they put out their fires, to make sure that it is properly done. But from the government side, education is important, and then also to make sure that they have equipment available for the community members when such fires break out, because at the end of the day, we also have the NDF that usually helps us out, the Namibian Defence Force, but they don't have proper equipment themselves. They don't have firefighters and they don't have water tankers, which is vital for fighting especially big area brush fires.
Sean, we do really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us this evening here on the Daily Roundup and speaking to us.
Thank you very much, and thank you for keeping everybody informed, and we will also keep everybody updated. And let's just take precautions. As I said, 80% of fighting fires is preparation.
Yeah. Well, that was emergency responder Marshall Sean Naude speaking to us over there. We're going to take a brief break. It's almost time to say goodbye. We'll be right back.